Imagine you are sitting in a quiet room, looking at yourself in the mirror. Your hair has turned gray, your hands carry the marks of time, and your body moves a little slower than before. You have lived through decades of experiences, yet something feels off. You start talking to yourself, whispering words of regret, self-doubt, and frustration. I'm too old for this. I wish I had done things differently. What's the point now? Each word feels heavier than the last, making you feel smaller, weaker, and more helpless. But what if I told you that these words are not just thoughts? They are shaping your reality, creating an invisible cage around you. Have you ever noticed how some elderly people remain full of life, while others seem lost in sadness? Why do some people embrace their old age with grace and wisdom, while others feel burdened by it? Is it possible that the words we use every day hold the power to define our journey? If our thoughts and speech have the ability to influence our emotions, can changing our words transform the way we age? Let me give you a simple example. Two elderly men sit on a park bench. One says, "I'm just waiting for my time to come." The other smiles and says, "Every day is a new chance to learn and grow." They are both the same age, but their words create completely different lives. One chooses despair, while the other chooses hope. Welcome to Stoic Journey, the place where ancient wisdom meets modern life. If you're new here, make sure to like this video, comment your thoughts, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Also, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our future content. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. If you find this valuable, take a moment to support us. Your engagement helps us bring more meaningful content to you. The words we use in old age are not just sounds, they hold energy, they shape our emotions, and they define our perspective on life. Buddhism teaches that speech is one of the most powerful forces in the world. What we say out loud reflects what we believe inside. If we constantly use negative words, our reality becomes negative. If we choose words of peace, wisdom, and gratitude, we create a life filled with those very things. In Buddhism, right speech is one of the key elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. It teaches that words should be truthful, kind, and beneficial. When we abandon harmful speech and embrace mindful communication, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. The elderly often fall into patterns of speech that unknowingly drain their energy, words of regret, hopelessness, and bitterness. But what if we could change that? This journey is not about denying old age. It's about embracing it with the right mindset. It's about understanding that aging is not just about the body growing older, but also about the soul growing wiser. And to grow wisely, we must first learn to speak wisely. In the upcoming parts, we will explore the most harmful words people say in old age and how they affect our well-being. More importantly, we will learn how to replace them with words that bring peace, strength, and wisdom. Stay with us, because by the end of this series, you will see old age in a completely new light. The power of speech in Buddhism. Sit with me for a moment. Let the noise of the world fade away. Feel your breath as it moves in and out. Now, listen, not to the world outside, but to the voice within. What does it say? What words fill your mind, spill from your lips, shape your life? Words are not just sounds. They are energy. They create, they destroy, they heal, they wound. A single word can lift a heart, and a single word can break it. Think of the most painful moment in your life. Was it caused by a weapon, or was it caused by words? Think of the happiest moment. Did it come with silence, or did it come with words of love and kindness? Buddhism teaches that speech is one of the most powerful forces in the world. The Buddha spoke of right speech, a path to peace and wisdom. Right speech means speaking with truth, kindness, and purpose. But how often do we truly think before we speak? How often do we use words without realizing their weight? Imagine a small child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they get back up. A kind voice says, "You're doing great. Keep going." And the child smiles, takes another step. Now imagine another voice saying, "You'll never get it right." The child hesitates, doubts, maybe even gives up. The same action, but two different voices. One voice gives strength, the other takes it away. This is the power of speech. As we grow older, the voices we hear do not disappear. They become our own. The words others spoke to us as children, the words we speak to ourselves now, they shape the way we see the world. And as old age approaches, our speech does not just affect us, it affects those around us. An old man sits in his home, speaking of how difficult life has become. "Everything is falling apart," he says. "My body, my mind, my time is running out." His words are heavy, filled with sadness. Another old man, living in the same world, the same body, says, Life is changing, and so am I. Every moment teaches me something new. His words are lighter, filled with wisdom. Both are old. Both face the same reality. But one suffers, while the other grows. The difference is in their words. In Buddhism, we are taught that words carry karma. When we speak with anger, we create suffering. When we speak with kindness, we create peace. But the most dangerous speech is not always loud. It is the quiet words we whisper to ourselves. The ones we repeat every day without thinking. Think about the words you say when you wake up in the morning. Do you say, I feel tired, I feel old, I feel useless? Or do you say, I am alive, I am breathing, I am still learning? The first set of words drains you before the day even begins. The second fills you with gratitude and strength. Now, think about the way you speak to others. Do you complain more than you compliment? Do you criticize more than you encourage? Do your words bring warmth or coldness? People remember the way we speak more than they remember what we say. A kind tone can make a simple sentence feel like love. A harsh tone can make even a compliment feel like an insult. There was once a wise monk who never spoke unless his words were necessary. One day, a young man asked him, "Why do you speak so little?" The monk smiled and said, "Because every word is like a stone thrown into a lake. It ripples outward, touching places we cannot see. Every time we speak, we send out ripples. A harsh word can create waves of pain that travel far beyond what we intended. A gentle word can create ripples of peace that touch lives in ways we may never know. This is why mindfulness in speech is so important." Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." In old age, we have spoken many words. But how many of them have brought peace? How many have healed instead of harmed? It is never too late to change the way we speak. It is never too late to replace words of fear with words of wisdom. Old age is often feared, but what if we saw it as a time of mastery? A time to refine not only our thoughts but our speech? Imagine spending your final years speaking only words that uplift, that inspire, that bring clarity and peace. Imagine how different your days would feel. Imagine how different the world around you would become. Words shape not only our minds but the minds of those who listen. A child who grows up hearing, "Life is suffering," may see only struggle. A child who hears, "Life is a lesson," may seek wisdom instead. In old age, we do not just speak for ourselves. We speak for those who come after us. So, as you move through your day, watch your words. Notice what you say when you are frustrated, when you are tired, when you are in pain. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this true? If not, let silence be your answer. A wise person knows that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every emotion needs to be voiced. Sometimes, silence holds more power than speech. But when we do speak, let it be with wisdom. Let it be with love. Let it be with the understanding that words are not just sounds, they are seeds. In whatever we plant, we will one day harvest. So speak carefully. Speak mindfully. Speak in a way that leaves the world better than you found it. Negative self-talk, the silent agony. Sit with me for a moment. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let the mind settle like a still pond. Now, listen carefully, for this lesson is not just about words. It is about the prison we build for ourselves without even realizing it. Every day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep, there is a voice inside you. It speaks when you look in the mirror. It whispers when you struggle to remember a name. It shouts when you drop something or make a mistake. And often, this voice is unkind. "I am too old for this. I am useless now. I don't matter anymore." These are not just thoughts. These are chains. They wrap around your mind, your heart, your spirit, tightening with each passing day. Do you think the body grows weak with age? No. The body follows the mind. If the mind is filled with weakness, then the body will obey. If the mind is filled with strength, then age becomes nothing but a number. Look at the great masters, the wise elders who still walk with grace, speak with wisdom, and inspire generations. Do you think they're free from pain, from aging, from struggle? No. They simply do not let their thoughts defeat them. Let me tell you a story. There was once an old man who lived alone in a small village. His hands trembled, his back was bent, and his sight was not as sharp as before. Every morning, he would wake up and sigh, saying to himself, "I am just waiting for the end." And so, his days became long and empty. His body grew weaker. His spirit became tired. He did not enjoy the warmth of the sun or the laughter of children passing by. He had already convinced himself that his time was over. One day, a traveler came to the village. He saw the old man sitting by his house, staring at the ground. The traveler smiled and asked, "Old man, why do you sit here like a rock? waiting to turn into dust? The old man sighed and said, "What else is there for me? My youth is gone. My strength is gone. I am just an old man waiting for my time." The traveler laughed. "Ah, so you have decided this yourself? Who told you that you were nothing but an old man?" "No one had to tell me," the old man replied. "It is the truth." The traveler sat down beside him. "Truth," he said. "Or is it just a story you tell yourself?" The old man frowned. "What do you mean?" The traveler picked up a dry twig from the ground and held it up. "If I plant this in the soil and tell myself, 'This is a great tree,' will it grow?" The old man chuckled. "Of course not. It is dead." The traveler nodded. "Yes, because it has no life. But what about a seed? If I plant a seed and call it a great tree, will it grow?" "Yes," the old man said, "because it still has life in it." The traveler smiled. "And so do you. But you speak as if you're already a dry twig. Do you not see? Your words are killing your spirit before your body ever does. You are not dead, old man. You are still breathing, still thinking, still feeling. But as long as you keep telling yourself that your time is over, you will never truly live." The old man was silent. The words of the traveler stayed with him. That night, he lay in bed, thinking. The next morning, for the first time in many years, he woke up and said something different. "I am alive today. I have this day to do something, to feel something, to learn something." And with that, his world changed. Do you understand? The words you say to yourself shape your reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you are too old, too weak, too late, then that is what you become. If you wake up each morning and say, "I am still here. There is still something for me," then life will respond to you in ways you never imagined. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is everything. What you think, you become. When you fill your mind with thoughts of helplessness, you create helplessness. When you fill your mind with strength, even your body will follow. Do not underestimate the power of the words you whisper to yourself. They are either poison or medicine. Choose wisely. There is an old saying, "Be careful how you speak to yourself, because you are always listening." This is especially true in old age. Many people think that aging means losing purpose. But why? Who told you that your worth disappears with time? Who decided that an old tree cannot still provide shade, that an old river cannot still flow? The mind. The mind decides. And your words feed the mind. So today, right now, I ask you to become aware of your own voice. Pay attention. When you drop something, do you say, "I am so clumsy, I am so old," or do you simply pick it up and move on? When you forget something, do you say, "My mind is getting weaker," or do you smile and give yourself grace, knowing that even the young forget things? When you wake up in the morning, do you sigh and say, "Another day of struggle," or do you take a deep breath and say, "Another day to be alive"? These choices may seem small, but they are the difference between suffering and peace. Buddhism does not teach us to deny reality. Aging is real. The body changes. But it is the mind that determines whether you live fully or merely exist. There was once a monk who was over 90 years old. His students asked him, "Master, do you ever feel old?" He laughed and said, "My body may be old, but my mind is as fresh as the morning sun." And so, he continued to teach, to walk, to share wisdom, until his very last breath. What do you choose? Will you let your words age you before your time? Or will you choose to speak with kindness, with strength, with purpose? Will you wake up and say, "I am still here. I still have something to give"? Do not let negative self-talk steal the time you have left. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. Be kind. Be gentle. Be strong. Your words create your world. Choose them wisely. Complaints and regrets, chains of the past. Sit with me for a moment. Let the world slow down. Listen to the sound of your own breath. Feel the weight of your body as it rests. Now, ask yourself, how often do you complain? How often do you talk about the things that went wrong, the people who disappointed you, the life that didn't turn out the way you expected? Regret and complaints are like heavy stones we carry in our hearts. We gather them one by one, year after year, until our spirit is weighed down by them. Some people, as they grow older, seem to collect these stones endlessly. They hold on to every missed opportunity, every mistake, every unfair moment. They say things like, "I should have done this differently. If only life had given me another chance. People have always let me down." They replay the past over and over, as if they could change it by speaking about it enough times. But tell me, has complaining ever changed the past? Has regret ever rewritten a single chapter of your life? Imagine two elderly women sitting in a garden. One of them stares at the flowers, the trees, the open sky. She smiles and says, "Life has given me so much." The other looks at the same garden, But all she sees are the days she lost, the love she never received, the mistakes she made. She sighs and says, life has been unfair. Two people, the same moment, the same world, but their words create two completely different realities. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is like a field. Whatever we plant, grows. If we fill it with complaints and regrets, we will harvest bitterness. If we plant gratitude and acceptance, we will harvest peace. What kind of garden do you want to live in? Regret is a strange thing. It makes us believe that we are wiser now than we were back then. But were we not doing the best we could with the understanding we had? Can we truly blame ourselves for not knowing what we know today? The past is like a river. It has already flowed away. No matter how much we cry out to it, it will never return to us. And yet, many of us sit on the riverbank, watching the water disappear, whispering, I wish I had done things differently. But what if, instead of looking back, we looked at where we are now? What if we realized that every mistake, every difficult moment, brought us here? What if we understood that life was never meant to be perfect, that its imperfections were the very things that shaped us? Think of an old tree standing in a forest. Its branches are twisted, its bark is scarred, but it still stands tall. The wind has bent it, the storms have broken some of its limbs, yet it does not complain. It does not regret. It simply exists, growing in the only way it knows how. The words we use about our past determine how we experience the present. If we say, I was a fool, we will feel shame. If we say, I have learned, we will feel growth. If we say, I was cheated by life, we will feel anger. If we say, I was given challenges to overcome, we will feel strength. The past cannot change, but the story we tell about it can. Some people believe that complaining gives them power. They think that by speaking about their suffering, they will make others understand their pain. But suffering does not lessen by being spoken about. It lessens when it is accepted, transformed, and released. A wise monk once said, the cup that is already full cannot receive more tea. If our mind is full of complaints, where will peace go? If our heart is full of regret, where will joy live? In Buddhism, the practice of letting go is the key to freedom. But letting go is not forgetting. It is not pretending that pain never happened. Letting go means loosening the grip of the past so that we can hold the present. It means understanding that life does not owe us anything, but it gives us everything. Even suffering has its purpose. It teaches us, humbles us, strengthens us. If you find yourself saying, I wish my life had been different, pause. Ask yourself, what can I do with the life I have now? If you find yourself saying, people have disappointed me, ask, how can I live without expectations and find joy in the present? If you hear yourself say, I have wasted too much time, remind yourself, the time I have now is still mine to use. There is a Zen story about a man who spent his whole life chasing after happiness, only to find himself empty-handed in old age. One day, he met a monk and said, I have wasted my years. My youth is gone. My opportunities are lost. The monk picked up a cup and filled it with tea. Then, he took a sip and said, the tea I drink now is warm. Should I cry over the tea I spilled yesterday? Regret and complaints are like spilled tea. They cannot be put back into the cup. But we can always pour ourselves a new cup and enjoy it while it's warm. Old age is not a punishment. It is not a time to sit and count what we have lost. It is a time to gather the wisdom we have gained, to live with peace, to pass on kindness. Complaining about the past is like walking forward while looking backward. We will only stumble and fall. But if we look ahead, if we embrace the moment we are in, we will find that life still has much to offer. So, the next time you catch yourself complaining, stop. The next time you feel regret rising, breathe. Ask yourself, will these words bring me peace, or will they add to my suffering? If they add to your suffering, then let them go. Let them drift away like leaves on a river. Because the truth is, the past does not hold you. The words you speak about the past do. And if you change those words, you set yourself free. Harsh words, the echo of karma. Sit with me for a moment in stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe in deeply, feel the air fill your lungs. Breathe out, let the tension melt away. Now, think about the words you have spoken in your life. Words spoken in anger. Words spoken in frustration. Words that cut like a sharp knife. Do you remember them? Do you remember how they made someone feel? Do you remember how they made you feel? Words carry energy. Once they leave your mouth, they do not simply disappear. They travel, they sink into hearts, they shape lives. The Buddha taught that our speech has the power to create suffering or to bring peace. Yet, as we grow older, many of us forget this wisdom. We become impatient, we become frustrated, and without realizing it, we let our words become weapons. Think about an elderly man scolding his grandson. You never listen. You are useless. He does not mean harm, but the words land like stones in the boy's heart. The boy lowers his head, hurt, confused. The old man forgets the moment, but the boy remembers. Years later, he still hears those words, echoing in his mind. He grows up doubting himself, fearing failure, believing he is not good enough. Or imagine an old woman sitting alone, speaking to herself. No one cares about me. I'm just a burden. She says it once, then again, then again. And slowly, those words become her truth. She starts believing them. Her shoulders sink, her eyes lose their light, and the world feels heavier. The words she speaks shape the life she lives. Harsh words do not disappear. They do not fade into the air. They leave scars, both on the people who hear them and on the one who speaks them. Buddhism teaches us that everything we say has consequences. The words we choose either build a path toward peace or a path toward suffering. There was once a young monk who went to his master in distress. "Master," he said, "I spoke in anger to my friend. I did not mean to hurt him, but now he will not speak to me." The master handed him a bag of feathers. "Take these," he said, "and scatter them into the wind." The young monk did as he was told. The wind carried the feathers far and wide. When he returned, the master said, "Now go and gather every feather you have scattered." "But master, that is impossible," the monk said. The master nodded. So it is with words. When we are young, we think we will always have time to make things right. But as we grow older, time teaches us a difficult lesson. Some words can never be taken back. Some wounds, even if forgiven, leave a mark that never fades. Think about the times you spoke harshly. Think about the people you may have hurt. Now, think about the words you have received that still live inside you. The ones that made you feel small. The ones that made you feel unworthy. Do you see now how powerful words are? There is a reason why right speech is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. It is not simply about being polite. It is about understanding that every word we speak is like a seed. Some words grow into flowers, bringing beauty and healing. Others grow into thorns, causing pain and suffering. So what can we do? How do we change? How do we undo the damage of years of careless speech? First, we must become aware. Awareness is the first step to transformation. Watch your words. Listen to yourself when you speak. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this true? If the answer is no, let the words remain unspoken. Second, we must seek forgiveness. If our words have harmed someone, we must find the courage to say, "I was wrong. I am sorry." This is not weakness. This is strength. A heart that can admit its mistakes is a heart that is truly alive. Third, we must choose new words. Words that uplift, words that heal, words that bring light instead of darkness. A simple, "I appreciate you" can change someone's day. A heartfelt, "I believe in you" can give someone the courage to keep going. An old man once told his grandson, "Every morning, I have two choices. I can complain about my pain, my loneliness, my regrets, or I can speak words of gratitude. I can say, I am alive. Today is a gift. I still have love to give." The grandson asked, "And which choice do you make, grandfather?" The old man smiled. "The one that makes my heart lighter. Life is short. Too short to waste on words that hurt. Too short to fill with anger and bitterness. In the end, the words we speak will be the words we leave behind. What do you want your words to be? A burden that weighs down others, or a light that lifts them up? Choose wisely. Speak gently. And remember, once a word is spoken, it can never be unspoken. Words of attachment, letting go for inner peace. Sit down, take a deep breath, and listen closely. The words you speak are not just sounds. They are seeds planted deep in your heart, growing into emotions, thoughts, and realities. Some words bring peace. Some words bring suffering. And the most dangerous of them all? The words of attachment. Think about how often you hear these phrases. "I can't live without this. I miss the old days. Things were better before. I don't want to lose this." These words seem harmless, but they are like invisible chains, holding you back, keeping you stuck in the past, preventing you from embracing the present. Aging is a journey, but attachment makes it painful. The more we cling to what was, the more we resist what is. And resistance creates suffering. Buddhism teaches us that attachment is one of the main causes of suffering. When we hold on too tightly to people, to memories, to possessions, to identities, we create an illusion of control. But life does not work that way. Everything changes. Everything fades. Everything moves. Imagine an old man sitting in his home, surrounded by things he has collected over the years. He looks at an old chair and says, "This was my father's chair. I will never let it go." He picks up a watch and whispers, "My wife gave me this on our wedding day. If I lose it, I lose her memory." He holds on to an old photograph and sighs, "This was me when I was young. I miss that person." Do you see what's happening? He is not just holding on to objects. He is holding on to the past. He is holding on to his old identity. He is holding on to things that no longer exist. And in doing so, he is not living in the present. Now, picture another elderly man. He, too, has an old chair, a watch, and a photograph. But he looks at them and smiles. "This chair gave me comfort, but if it breaks, that's okay. Comfort comes from within." He touches the watch and says, "My wife's love is not in this object. It is in my heart." He glances at the photograph and nods. That young man became the person I am today. And today is beautiful. The difference between these two men is not what they own. It is how they speak about what they own. One is trapped by his words. The other is free. Let me ask you, how often do you use words that bind you to the past? How often do you say things like, "I wish things were the way they used to be," or "I don't want things to change"? These words do not stop time. They do not bring back what is gone. They only make the present moment feel empty. Think about this. A river never stops flowing. The water you touch today is not the same water you touched yesterday. Yet the river is always there. Life is the same. The people, the moments, the experiences, they flow. But life itself remains. And when you understand this, you stop clinging. You stop fearing change. You stop suffering. There is an old Zen story about a monk and a student. One day, they were walking through a forest when they saw a woman struggling to cross a river. The monk picked her up, carried her across, and set her down. The two monks continued walking in silence. Hours passed. Finally, the student couldn't hold it in anymore. He said, "Master, we are not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her?" The monk smiled and replied, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her? Do you understand? The real weight we carry is not in our hands but in our minds. The past is gone. The future is not here. All we have is this moment." And yet, so many people spend their old age carrying things they should have put down long ago. It is not easy to let go. We attach meaning to everything, our relationships, our belongings, our memories. But attachment does not preserve happiness. It only makes loss more painful. True happiness comes from appreciating things as they are, not fearing their loss. Try this. Instead of saying, "I miss the good old days," say, "I am grateful for the experiences I had." Instead of saying, "I don't want things to change," say, "I welcome whatever comes next." Instead of saying, "I can't live without this," say, "I am complete as I am." These simple changes in speech can change your entire experience of life. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is clinging. The more we grasp, the more we suffer. But when we release, when we trust the flow of life, we find peace. This is why monks own so little. They understand that nothing truly belongs to them, not even their own bodies. Everything is borrowed from the universe. And one day, we must return it all. Think about the trees in autumn. Their leaves turn golden, then brown, then fall. But the tree does not cry for its lost leaves. It knows that letting go is part of the cycle. And in time, new leaves will grow. Life is the same. We must learn to release, to trust, to flow. So the next time you catch yourself using words of attachment, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me? Or is this keeping me stuck? And then, choose different words. Choose words that free you, not words that trap you. Because in the end, peace is not found in holding on. Peace is found in letting go. The illusion of "I can't" and "it's too late." Sit with me for a moment. Breathe. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. You are alive. You are here. And yet, somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice whispers, "I can't do this anymore," or "It's too late for me." Have you ever heard this voice? Has it ever convinced you to stop trying, to give up, to settle into a life that feels smaller than what your heart desires? That voice is not your truth. That voice is not your wisdom. It is an illusion, a trick of the mind, and yet, many people allow it to shape their entire existence. When we say, "I can't," what we truly mean is, "I am afraid." When we say, "It's too late," what we truly mean is, "I don't believe in myself anymore." But what if I told you that you are still capable, still strong, still worthy of every experience life has to offer? Look at the trees outside. Do they ever say, "I can't grow anymore"? Do the rivers ever say, "It's too late to keep flowing"? No. Nature does not resist change. It does not place limits on itself. It simply continues. And you, my friend, are part of nature. The only thing standing in your way is the story you keep repeating to yourself. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall once, twice, maybe 100 times. But not once do they say, I can't walk. It's too late for me to learn. They get up, again and again, because they have not yet learned the limitations that adults impose on themselves. Somewhere along the way, as we grow older, we start believing in limits. We start telling ourselves that new beginnings are no longer possible. There is a story in Zen tradition about a man who wanted to learn painting. At the age of 70, he approached a great master and said, I have always wanted to paint, but I am too old. I can't learn now. The master laughed and said, if you begin today, in 10 years, you will be a master. If you do not begin, in 10 years, you will still be an old man who never learned to paint. The man chose to begin, and by the time he was 80, he was a great painter. The mind is a powerful thing. It will believe whatever we tell it. If we say, I am too old, the mind will find proof of this everywhere. Our body will start to feel weaker, our energy will diminish, and our opportunities will seem smaller. But if we say, I am capable, the mind will find proof of that too. Suddenly, we will notice new doors opening. We will feel stronger. We will realize that time is not our enemy, it is our companion. Many people say, I can't change at this age. But change does not ask for permission. Change happens whether we welcome it or not. The question is, will you resist it, or will you flow with it? Do not allow your past failures to convince you that success is no longer possible. There are countless stories of people who started new journeys late in life. A woman in her 80s learning to dance for the first time. A man in his 70s learning to write poetry. A grandmother who became a yoga teacher. A retired worker who finally followed his childhood dream of playing the piano. Every single one of them had the same choice you have right now, to believe in the illusion of, I can't, or to take a step forward despite it. There is a beautiful teaching in Buddhism that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It does not matter how many years have passed. It does not matter how many times you have convinced yourself that it is too late. The truth is, as long as you are breathing, as long as you are alive, the present moment is a gift. You can begin again. You can step outside of the prison of I can't and walk into the vast open field of I will try. When the Buddha spoke about suffering, he did not say that suffering comes from growing old. He said suffering comes from attachment, to the past, to regrets, to the idea that we are anything less than what we are capable of being. The moment we let go of those attachments, we become free. Let me ask you something. If a friend came to you and said, I can't do this. It's too late for me. What would you tell them? Would you tell them to give up? Would you tell them to stop dreaming? No. You would encourage them. You would remind them of their strength. So why do you not speak to yourself the same way? Why do you not offer yourself the same kindness? Speak gently to yourself. Say, I am still growing. Say, I am still capable. Say, I will take one small step today. Because that is all it takes. One step. And then another. And then another. You do not have to conquer the world in a day. You do not have to accomplish everything at once. You simply have to believe that life is not over until it is truly over. And until that moment comes, you have a choice. You can shrink into the illusion of limitation, or you can expand into the truth of possibility. Today, I invite you to choose possibility. Do something you have never done before. Try something new. Speak different words. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I will find a way. Instead of saying, it's too late, say, the time is now. Then watch how your world changes. Gossip and criticism, the poison of the mind. Sit with me for a moment. Close your eyes. Listen to the sounds around you. Can you hear the whispers? The soft murmurs of voices, some near, some far. They float through the air like the wind, carrying words from one person to another. Some words are gentle, some are harsh. Some bring comfort, while others bring pain. But do you know which words are the most dangerous? The ones that speak of others, not with kindness, but with judgment. Gossip and criticism are like poison. At first, they seem harmless. A casual remark about someone's mistake, a small joke about another's failure, a shared story that was never ours to tell. We think, it's just words, just conversation. But words, once spoken, take on a life of their own. They travel beyond our lips, beyond our control, and settle in the hearts of those who hear them. And not all hearts are strong enough to bear their weight. Have you ever watched ripples in a pond? You throw a small stone, and the water trembles. The ripples grow wider, spreading far beyond where the stone first touched. Words work the same way. A single careless remark can spread far beyond what we imagine. It moves from one person to another, changing shape, growing sharper, until it returns to us as something unrecognizable. And yet, we do it. We speak of others. We point out their flaws. We laugh at their misfortunes. We whisper about their failures. But have you ever wondered, why? Why do we do this? What do we gain from it? Sometimes, it is boredom. The mind, restless and empty, looks for something to occupy itself. It finds entertainment in the lies of others. It finds amusement in their struggles, their mistakes. Other times, it is insecurity. We feel small, so we make others seem smaller. We fear our own failures, so we highlight the failures of others. And sometimes, it is simply habit. A lifetime of talking without thinking, speaking without awareness. But Buddhism teaches us something different. It teaches us that speech is not just sound. It is karma. Every word we speak plants a seed of kindness or a seed of suffering, a seed of wisdom or a seed of ignorance. And like all seeds, they grow. When we speak with kindness, our world becomes kind. When we speak with wisdom, our mind becomes wise. But when we speak with cruelty, we create a world filled with cruelty. A world where trust is broken, where hearts are wounded, where friendships crumble. And in the end, we are the ones who suffer the most. Have you ever noticed that those who gossip the most are also the most restless? Their minds are never at peace. They're always watching, always judging, always searching for the next story to tell. And when there's no one left to talk about, they turn on themselves. They doubt their own worth. They fear being judged just as they have judged others. They become trapped in a cycle of endless chatter, never truly listening, never truly understanding. And what about criticism? Is it not the same? We believe we are helping. We believe we are guiding others toward improvement. But most of the time, our criticism is not for their benefit, but for our own. It makes us feel powerful. It makes us feel superior. We say, I'm only being honest. But honesty without kindness is just cruelty in disguise. There is a story in Buddhism about a wise monk and his student. One day, the student came to the monk and said, Master, I have heard terrible things about another monk. People say he is dishonest. They say he is lazy. They say he does not follow the path properly. The master smiled and asked, Tell me, my child, if someone gave you a rotten fruit, would you eat it? The student shook his head. No, master. It would make me sick. The master nodded. Then why do you consume rotten words? Why do you let them into your mind, your heart? And worse, why do you pass them on to others? The student was silent. He understood. Words are like food. Some nourish the soul. Others poison it. If we would not eat something rotten, why do we allow ourselves to speak and hear words that bring harm? Old age is a time for wisdom, for reflection. It is a time to let go of unnecessary burdens, to free the mind from the weight of meaningless talk. But if we continue to gossip, to criticize, to judge, then we are not freeing ourselves, we are adding more chains. Think about the words you spoke today. Were they kind? Were they necessary? Did they bring peace to others? Or did they create unrest? What if today was your last day? Would you be proud of the words you left behind? There is still time. Time to change. Time to choose words that heal, not harm. Time to practice noble silence, to speak only when our words bring light. Because in the end, our words do not just shape the world around us. They shape us. They shape our hearts, our minds, our very existence. So the next time you feel the urge to gossip, to criticize, to speak without thought, pause. Take a breath. And ask yourself, will this word bring peace? Will it bring wisdom? Will it bring kindness? If not, let it go. The wise do not waste their breath on words that do not serve a higher purpose. The wise know that silence, too, can be a form of speech. A speech of understanding, of patience, of deep inner peace. And so I ask you, what kind of words will you choose today? Words that invite fear and anxiety. Sit with me for a moment. Let the noise of the world fade away. Feel your breath steady, calm. Now, imagine this. You wake up in the morning, stretch your body, and before your feet even touch the ground, the first words out of your mouth are, what if something bad happens today? You step outside, and the world greets you with the same sky, the same trees, the same fresh air. But your mind is already racing. What if I fall? What if I get sick? What if today is worse than yesterday? The moment these words take form, they grip your heart. Your breath shortens. Your hands feel weak. The day has not even begun, yet you are already carrying a heavy burden. Fear and anxiety are not just emotions. They are shadows that grow with every word we speak. The more we talk about them, the bigger they become. And when we age, these shadows become even stronger. Have you noticed how often older people say things like, "I'm afraid I'll become a burden. What if I lose everything I have? The world is not safe anymore." These words feel small when spoken, but they have a deep impact. They create a world where fear is always present. They shape the way we see life. Instead of peace, we invite worry. Instead of trust, we invite doubt. The Buddha once said that fear is like a fire. If you feed it, it grows. If you stop giving it fuel, it fades away. But how do we stop feeding it? It begins with awareness. It begins with choosing our words carefully. Think of a river. If you throw a single stone into it, the water ripples, but it keeps flowing. But if you keep throwing stones, the river becomes blocked, restless, disturbed. Our mind is like that river. Every fearful word we speak is like a stone. Over time, it builds up, stopping the flow of peace. Many people do not realize that their fears come from the words they repeat daily. They believe the world is scarier than before, but in truth, their thoughts have become heavier. The world has always had dangers, but when we constantly talk about fear, it takes over our hearts. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever sat with an elder who constantly talks about worries? How does it feel? The air around them feels heavy. Their presence is tense. Their words create an atmosphere of fear, even if nothing is wrong. Now think of an elder who smiles, who speaks words of wisdom, who embraces life as it is. Their presence is light, peaceful, calming. It is not that they have no problems, they have simply chosen not to feed fear with their words. Buddhism teaches us that suffering is not always caused by the outside world. Often, it is created by our own minds. And our minds are shaped by the words we use. If you say, "I am afraid," your body reacts. Your heart beats faster. Your mind starts looking for danger. Even if nothing is wrong, you feel as if something bad is about to happen. But if you say, "I trust that I will handle whatever comes," your body relaxes. Your breath deepens. Your mind feels lighter. The situation has not changed, but your relationship with it has. Aging brings changes, yes. The body slows down. The world moves differently than it did before. But does that mean we must fill our days with fearful words? Or can we choose to speak differently? In my years as a Zen teacher, I have met many people who lived in fear of the future. They would sit in front of me, their eyes filled with worry, their voices shaking with anxiety. "Master," they would say, "what if I lose my health? What if I become lonely? What if the world forgets me?" And I would smile, because these are the same fears people have had for thousands of years. And the answer has always been the same. If you focus on what might happen, you miss what is happening. If you fill your speech with fear, you fill your heart with suffering. Instead, try this. The next time fear rises in your throat, pause. Before you speak it out loud, ask yourself, is this fear real? Or is it just my mind playing games? Then, take a deep breath. Let it go. And instead of saying, "I'm afraid," say, "I am here. I am alive." And that is enough. There is a famous Zen story about a man who was walking through a dark forest. He kept whispering, "I hope I don't see a ghost. I hope I don't see a ghost." With every step, his fear grew. His heart pounded. His breath became shallow. And then, suddenly, he saw a shadow move. He screamed, running for his life. But when he reached safety and looked back, he realized the shadow was just the wind moving through the trees. This is how fear works. The more we talk about it, the stronger it becomes. And most of the time, it is nothing more than the wind in the trees. So be careful with your words. Do not fill your old age with sentences that invite fear. Instead of saying, "What if I fall?" say, "I will walk with awareness." Instead of saying, "I am scared of being alone," say, "I cherish my own company." Instead of saying, "The world is dangerous," say, "I will meet life with wisdom." Words are powerful. They shape the world around us. They build the walls we live inside. And if we are not careful, they can become the very chains that trap us. So the next time fear comes to your lips, choose wisely. Speak words that bring peace, not panic. Choose words that free you, not words that imprison you. Because in the end, the words you speak become the life you live. Embracing mindful speech, a path to wisdom. Sit down. Take a deep breath. Let go of all the noise around you. Listen to my words, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because today, I will tell you something that can change your life, if you are ready to listen. Words are not just sounds. They are not just letters strung together. Words have power. They can build or destroy, heal or wound, bring peace or create suffering. And in old age, the words you choose can shape the final chapters of your life. If you are not careful, they can make those years bitter, lonely, and full of regrets. But if you learn to speak with wisdom, your words can bring you peace, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment. The Buddha taught that speech is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Why? Because speech comes directly from the mind. What you say reveals what you think, and what you think determines how you experience life. If your words are filled with anger, it means your mind is holding on to anger. If your words are filled with fear, it means your heart is drowning in fear. If your words are filled with kindness, it means your soul is at peace. Now, think about this. Have you ever seen a wise, peaceful elder who complains all the time? Have you ever met someone who is full of wisdom but speaks with bitterness? No, because wisdom and negative speech cannot live in the same place. The more negative words you use, the further you drift from peace. The more mindful you become of your speech, the closer you get to wisdom. But what does it mean to speak mindfully? It means choosing your words with care. It means speaking only what is necessary, what is true, and what is kind. It means understanding that every word you say has consequences, not just for others but for yourself. Let me tell you a story. There was once an old man who had spent his whole life being negative. He always found something to complain about. If it was too hot, he would say, "The sun is unbearable." If it was cold, he would say, "This weather is miserable." If he was given food, he would say, "It's not as good as what I used to eat." He never realized how his words were shaping his reality. He lived in a world of dissatisfaction because his speech was full of dissatisfaction. One day, he met a Zen master. The master listened to the old man's complaints and smiled. Then he said, "You have spent your whole life cursing the world with your words. Have you ever blessed it?" The old man was confused. "Blessed it?" he asked. "Yes," the master said. "Have you ever spoken words of gratitude? Have you ever said, 'This sun gives life'? Have you ever said, 'This cold makes me appreciate warmth'? Have you ever said, 'This food, though simple, fills my stomach'?" The old man was silent. He had never thought about this. The master continued, "Your words are like seeds. Every complaint is a seed of suffering. Every kind word is a seed of peace. You have spent your whole life planting suffering, but it is never too late to plant peace." The old man took these words to heart. From that day on, he began to change his speech. He stopped complaining about the weather and started appreciating it. He stopped criticizing others and started complimenting them. He stopped speaking words of regret and started speaking words of gratitude. And something strange happened. His heart became lighter. His days became brighter. His life, even in old age, became more beautiful. This is the power of mindful speech. When you choose your words carefully, you do not just change the way others see you. You change the way you see yourself. Think about the words you use every day. Do they bring you peace? Or do they bring you suffering? If you find yourself saying, "Life is meaningless, I am useless now, no one cares about me," then you are planting the seeds of loneliness and despair. But if you say, "I still have wisdom to share, every day is a gift, I am grateful for what I have," then you are planting the seeds of joy and contentment. Mindful speech is not just about avoiding negative words. It is about choosing positive ones. It is about replacing harsh words with gentle ones, replacing fear with courage, replacing doubt with faith. It is about speaking in a way that uplifts your spirit, rather than bringing it down. Some people say, "But I am just speaking the truth. If life is hard, why should I pretend otherwise?" But mindful speech is not about pretending. It is about choosing how you frame reality. Two people can look at the same sky. One says, "The clouds are blocking the sun." The other says, "The clouds are giving shade." Both statements are true, but one brings suffering while the other brings peace. Which truth do you want to live in? There is a reason why in Buddhism, right speech is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. Because speech has the power to shape karma. When you speak words of anger, they return to you as anger. When you speak words of love, they return to you as love. Every word you say is like a boomerang. It will always come back to you in some way. So, if you want peace in your old age, start by changing your words. If you want happiness, start by speaking words of gratitude. If you want love, start by offering kind words to others. Because the words you choose today will create the life you live tomorrow. Take a deep breath. Think about all the words you have spoken today. Were they filled with wisdom? Or were they filled with negativity? If you spoke words that brought suffering, do not worry. It is never too late to change. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to choose different words. Speak wisely. Speak kindly. Speak mindfully. Because in the end, your words will be the story of your life. Make sure it is a story worth telling. Transformative words, speaking with compassion and gratitude. Sit down, breathe, Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. This moment, right here, right now, is all that truly exists. In this moment, you have a choice. A choice to speak words that bring light or words that bring darkness. A choice to uplift or to tear down. A choice to be a source of peace or a source of suffering. Words are like seeds. Whatever we plant in our hearts will grow. If we plant anger, we will harvest conflict. If we plant gratitude, we will harvest joy. Think about it. Every word you speak carries energy. It shapes the way you feel, the way others see you, and the way the world responds to you. When we reach old age, our words become even more powerful. They can either bring warmth to those around us or push them away. They can either fill our hearts with peace or leave us empty and bitter. Many people, as they grow older, fall into patterns of harsh speech. They complain about their aches and pains. They criticize the younger generation. They speak with frustration about the things they cannot do anymore. But what does this accomplish? Does it heal the body? Does it make life more joyful? No. It only creates more suffering. Imagine two elderly women sitting together. One says, "Young people today have no respect. The world is falling apart. Everything was better in my time." The other smiles and says, "Each generation has its own struggles. I am grateful that I have lived to see this day." Who do you think feels lighter in their heart? Who do you think is truly at peace? Gratitude is not just an idea, it is a practice. And the most powerful way to practice gratitude is through words. Say, "I am grateful for this day." Say, "I am thankful for the people in my life." Say, "I appreciate the lessons I have learned." These words are not just sounds. They are medicine for the soul. They heal the wounds of the past and open the door to inner peace. Compassion is another powerful force. It is the ability to see others with kindness, even when they are difficult. It is the wisdom to understand that everyone is fighting their own battle. When we speak with compassion, we soften the hearts of those around us. We create bridges instead of walls. We bring comfort instead of pain. Think of an old man who speaks only with harshness. He scolds his grandchildren. He criticizes his children. He snaps at strangers. And then, he wonders why he feels so lonely. He wonders why people did not come to sit with him. But what if he changed his words? What if, instead of scolding, he encouraged? Instead of criticizing, he expressed understanding? Instead of snapping, he spoke with gentleness? Would his world not become warmer? Would his heart not feel lighter? Buddhism teaches us that right speech is a path to liberation. When we choose our words wisely, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. We free others from the weight of our anger and disappointment. We create a space for love, for joy, for true connection. Old age is not a time for bitterness. It is a time for wisdom. It is a time to reflect on all that life has given us and to share that wisdom with kindness. Speak words that uplift. Speak words that heal. Speak words that bring peace. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you say is, "Today is another painful day," then that is what it will become. But if you wake up and say, "Today is a gift, and I will make the most of it," then even the smallest moments will shine with beauty. The world is listening. Your family is listening. Your own heart is listening. Choose your words wisely. Choose them with love. Final reflections. Choosing your words. Choosing your life. Sit down. Take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, then slowly let it go. This is life. Every breath is a moment, and every moment is a choice. The words we speak in this moment will shape the next. This is the truth. And now, we have reached the end of this journey. But endings are never truly endings. They are simply new beginnings in disguise. You have walked through many lessons in this series. You have seen how words can lift or destroy, how they can bring peace or suffering, how they can chain us to the past or free us into the present. Every word you speak carries energy. And in old age, that energy becomes even more important. It is not just about speaking to others. It is about speaking to yourself. Think of an old man sitting alone in a small house. He spends his days saying, "I have no purpose. No one cares about me. My best days are behind me." These words become his truth. They weigh on his heart, making him tired, weak, and hopeless. His body may still have life, but his spirit is already fading. Now, imagine another old man in the same situation. He too sits alone in his house. But he says, "Every day is a gift. I have wisdom to share. My presence still matters." His body may be aging, but his heart is alive. His words shape his reality. They give him the strength to live, to smile, to find joy in simple things. The only difference between these two men is their words. Buddhism teaches us that everything we hold on to will one day fade. Our youth, our strength, Even our relationships, they're all temporary. But the way we experience them, the way we live through them, is shaped by our words. A kind word can soften the hardest heart. A cruel word can turn love into hate. A word of gratitude can bring peace to a troubled mind. And a word of regret can chain us to suffering. So, as we stand at the end of this journey, ask yourself, what words do you choose? If you have spent years saying, I can't, replace it with, I will try. If you have been saying, it's too late for me, replace it with, every moment is a new beginning. If you have been trapped in the past, speaking words of regret, let them go. Instead, say, I have learned, and now I move forward. Aging is not the loss of life. It is the unfolding of wisdom. But wisdom does not come to those who speak words of defeat. It comes to those who embrace life as it is, with gratitude, with patience, with understanding. Look back at your life, not with sadness, but with appreciation. Every moment, every challenge, every joy has led you here. The wrinkles on your face are not signs of weakness. They are marks of a life lived, a story told, a journey taken. Your body may slow down, but your soul, your spirit, is still strong. But be careful. The world is filled with voices that will try to convince you otherwise. Society often tells the elderly you are no longer needed. You have nothing left to offer. Do not believe these lies. The wisdom you carry is more valuable than gold. The experiences you have lived through can guide others. Your presence, your words, your thoughts still hold power. In Buddhism, there is a story about a man who reached old age and felt he had wasted his life. He went to a Zen master and said, I have nothing left. My youth is gone. My strength is gone. I am just waiting for the end. The master smiled and handed him a cup of tea. Drink, he said. The old man took a sip. The master asked, how does it taste? The old man replied, warm, comforting. The master nodded. See, even in this moment, there is something to appreciate. Life does not stop being beautiful just because you grow older. But you must choose to see it. And the first step in seeing it is speaking the right words. So, as we conclude this journey, remember this. The words you choose today will shape the life you live tomorrow. Speak words of kindness. Speak words of gratitude. Speak words of hope. Do not waste another moment on words that bring suffering. Now, before you leave, I have one final request. If this series has touched your heart, if it has made you see things differently, then support this journey. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. If you have found wisdom here, do not leave without showing your support. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue bringing these teachings to the world. And before you go, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what words you choose from this day forward. The journey does not end here. It never ends. Every moment is a new beginning. Every word is a step on the path. Choose wisely.